Howdy do y'all, this is John, and today we are talking about Good Morning Vietnam, a movie from 1987 starring Robin Williams. And then Good Morning Vietnam, it deals with Adrian Kroner, a radio DJ working for the US military, who gets tasked with DJing this radio station in Vietnam. And what he ends up doing during his brief time in Vietnam, he was only there for a year, ended up being very influential for future military radio DJs in not just the Vietnam War, but in military history. Now, getting into it, why am I reviewing this movie? The anniversary is not until next year. It's because it's Robin Williams' birthday. The guy meant a lot to the people who grew up while he was still around. And to this day, I still say Robin Williams' passing is the hardest celebrity passing I've ever heard of. One of the few to truly upset me, and definitely the hardest of them all. And like I said in my Jumanji review last year, which I did for Robin's birthday, my generation suffered another death of one of our icons last year. That influenced me to finally start doing this on Robin's birthday. So without further ado, my review of Good Morning Vietnam, which this one's a little different from Jumanji last year. Last year, I went with nostalgia. This is my first time ever watching Good Morning Vietnam. I have not watched this movie at all until just recently. And do I like it? Yes. It's not my favorite Robin Williams movie. I have a couple issues with it, but I'll get to those later. But first and foremost, what I like about the movie. Robin Williams clocks into work with this film. Robin, when he was around, he was one of the most entertaining actors in the business. Whether he's doing serious dramatic roles like in Insomnia or more comedic ones like in Aladdin, the dude always clocked into work and tried to be as entertaining as possible, even when he, couldn't be funny. In this movie's case, he had to be both serious and funny, because it's not just a comedy movie, it's also a drama. Adrian Kroner actually existed, and they made a drama comedy mix out of his time in Vietnam. So on one hand, while he's trying to be funny, witty, and a lot of it works, on the other hand, he's also a very serious guy, and he sees some messed up stuff that affects him. It takes a very professional actor to pull that off, and Robin Williams, like I said, he clocked into work on this film. When Adrian was upset, you could tell. When Adrian was trying to be funny, you could laugh. As far as the story goes, the story, while from my understanding it's not very historically accurate, it is a good story. Adrian, he becomes a radio DJ for military radio, and he starts doing a lot of stuff that's very unorthodox, and also gets him into a lot of trouble with the military high command, who doesn't like some of the jokes he tells. It bothers them a lot. And he goes through a lot of stuff, he goes through court-martials, he goes through, I think, an attempted assassination at one point. He goes through a lot. He even has to deal with betrayal from someone he thought he could trust. From my understanding, it did not go that way at all, but hey, they still crafted a good story for the movie. As far as the humor goes, as I already hinted, it's good. Robin Williams, he was a funny guy, and he loved to improvise, and some of the stuff he says is just hilarious. Dude was funny. He was funny in this movie. What more can I say? And as far as Barry Levinson's direction goes, just like Robin Williams, he very much clocked into work on this film. Jokes need a great actor, but they also need a great director, especially when it comes to timing and editing and all that kind of fun stuff. Also, a comedy that's simultaneously a serious drama about a very traumatic war for a lot of people does need a director that knows what he is doing to make sure that everything is handled with respect and also, handled in such a way that drives home to the audience what's going on. Levinson does a great job at that. There's this one moment where there's a terrorist attack. Instead of some cheap, dark joke, putting some cheap, dark joke into it, he lets it get portrayed like how it should be portrayed. Like a tragedy, like a disaster. I should not laugh at a terrorist attack. And thankfully, Barry Levinson understood this and handled it with respect. In terms of problems with the movie, it does take a little while to get going, unfortunately. If it weren't for one other thing, that would really be my only real criticism with the movie. It takes a little too long to get going. At first, you're just kind of, okay, this isn't exactly the greatest setup in the world. But after a little while, it finally gets going. It starts, entertaining you, not just through the comedy, but also the serious drama going on. But there's also one other thing that I read about that kind of got me a little annoyed. Apparently, the real Adrian Cronauer flat out said, this movie's not about him. Apparently, it's a very historically inaccurate movie. According to the real Adrian Cronauer, hardly anything in this movie actually happened. And while, with fictional movies, like The Patriot or fantasy movies like The Odyssey, I'm willing to, let some historical inaccuracies go. When you're actually adapting real historical events or telling the story of real historical people, that's when I get bothered by historical inaccuracies. A little thing here and there, like in Black Mass, that's one thing. But when you change an entire story for the sake of drama, that is when it bothers me. So yeah, it sounded to me like the real Adrian Cronauer hated this movie, and I don't blame him at all. Do I hate this movie? No, I think it's a well-made movie, and I enjoyed watching it. However, I cannot say it's a perfect movie. And overall, my final thoughts on Good Morning Vietnam is basically that it's not a perfect movie, but it is a good movie that I enjoyed watching. It was funny, it was heartfelt, it was emotional. Story's historically inaccurate, but it's still a good story. Robin Williams is as awesome as ever. I did enjoy this movie. I just had some problems with it, and one of them was a really big one. I'm going to give Good Morning Vietnam an 8. So once again, I'm doing this because it's Robin Williams' birthday, and I really hope that these videos I do on his birthday convince future generations to watch his movies. Obviously, this is not a kid-friendly movie. This is an R-rated movie. But if you're old enough to see it and you've never seen a Robin Williams movie, this is not a bad one to check out. And I really hope that future generations who watch these videos and have never seen a Robin Williams movie get inspired to watch a Robin Williams movie because of them. Because he meant a lot to not just my generation, but he had been working for so long that my mother grew up with him. My father, it was a little later in his life, but he got to, see his stuff. My older sisters and I, we got to grow up on him. The day he passed was a very rough one. And, like I said, I really hope any future generation watching these videos gets inspired to watch his movies. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Please look forward to more videos real soon. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please also subscribe if you're new to this channel. And please don't forget I also have a secondary channel where I do game content. Please go check it out. And as per usual, please remember, the Badetsky will return.